Welcome to our channel tonight. We bring you 3 true gas station horror stories that will make you think twice before stopping at a gas station after dark. So grab your popcorn and prepare for a chilling journey into the unknown.
I am tired and in need of a break during my long drive. It was a typical evening, cars coming and going, people filling up their tanks. But little did I know, this was the start of the most unbelievable and terrifying night of my life. As I stepped out of my car, I couldn't help but notice a strange sight. A convoy of black SUVs rolled into the gas station, all tinted windows and no license plates. It felt like something out of a spy movie, and I couldn't tear my eyes away. Men in black suits and sunglasses stepped out, surrounding the gas station like they were on some top-secret mission. I pretended to busy myself at the pump, but I was watching them closely. That's when I saw her, a woman who seemed different from the rest. She wore a tattered trench coat and had a wild look in her eyes. She approached me, her voice hushed but urgent. "Listen to me," she said. Her words rushed. "I've come from the future. A future where an oppressive regime rules with an iron fist. They've sent agents back to stop me." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Time travel? Oppressive regimes? It sounded insane, but something in her eyes made me hesitate. She seemed genuinely terrified. "Please," she begged. "I need your help. They're after me, and I don't have much time. Can I hide in your car? They won't suspect you." My heart raced as I nodded, and she slipped into the back seat of my car, her eyes scanning the surroundings. I tried to keep calm, my mind racing with questions and fear. Minutes later, the men in black suits stormed into the gas station, flashing badges and demanding to see identification from everyone. I watched as they questioned the other customers, their voices stern and commanding. One of them approached me, his gaze piercing. "Have you seen anyone suspicious?" he asked. I hesitated, my heart pounding in my chest. Should I tell them about the woman in my car? But then I remembered her words, the desperation in her voice. I shook my head and mumbled something about not seeing anything unusual. The agents moved on, leaving me shaken but relieved. The woman in my car let out a quiet breath, her eyes filled with gratitude. We sat in silence, my mind racing with questions. "Who are you?" I finally asked. She looked at me with troubled eyes and said, "I'm part of a group fighting against a terrible regime in the future. They've taken away freedom, and I came back to gather information. But they've found me, and they're determined to stop me." As the night went on, I listened to her story. She told me about a world where a cruel government had taken control. They made it a crime to speak freely, and they hunted down anyone who disagreed with them. She was part of a brave group trying to make things better. Then things got chaotic. The agents found her hiding in my car and they pulled her out. It was a terrifying struggle, and it seemed like she was in real danger. But suddenly, a group of people in futuristic gear appeared out of nowhere. They had advanced weapons and fought off the agents. It gave the woman a chance to escape. Before she left, she looked at me one more time. She seemed thankful, but also sad. She said, "Thank you for believing me." And then she disappeared into the night with the mysterious group. I was left standing there, really shaken. I had a story that no one would probably believe. The gas station went back to being busy like usual, but I couldn't forget what I'd seen. It was like I'd witnessed something incredibly strange and scary, a battle through time, a fight for freedom, and a woman from a future that seemed really grim, looking for safety in our present. I pulled into the gas station, the dim lights flickering overhead. It was late, and the only sound was the low hum of the gas pumps. I got out of my car and glanced around, shivering despite the warmth of the night. Something didn't feel right, but I couldn't put my finger on it. As I stood there fumbling for my wallet, I noticed her, a woman standing by one of the pumps, her face obscured by the shadows of the night. She seemed out of place, wearing a tattered coat that looked like it had seen better days. I couldn't see her clearly, but I could tell she was distressed. I approached her cautiously, my heart pounding in my chest. "Hey, are you okay?" I asked, my voice quivering. She turned to face me, and I gasped. It was my sister, Emily. Her eyes were red and puffy, and tears streamed down her face. "Oh my God, Emily, what happened?" I exclaimed, rushing to her side. She looked at me, her voice trembling. "It's Daniel, my own brother. He betrayed me." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Daniel was my older brother, and we had always been close. "What do you mean he betrayed you?" I asked, my mind racing. She took a deep breath and began to recount her story. Emily explained that she had recently inherited a sizable piece of property from a distant relative. It was a beautiful piece of land, with a small cottage nestled in the woods. She had always dreamed of living there, and now it was finally hers. But Daniel, my own flesh and blood, couldn't stand the thought of her having it all. He had always been jealous of her, and this was his chance to get his hands on the property. He concocted a plan so sinister it chilled me to the bone. Late one night, while Emily was alone in her new home, she heard a knock on the door. When she opened it, there stood Daniel, a twisted smile on his face. He claimed he had come to visit and celebrate her inheritance. Emily, trusting her brother, let him in. They sat by the fireplace, reminiscing about their childhood. Daniel seemed genuinely happy for her, but it was all a facade. As the night grew darker, he suggested they play a game of cards. Emily agreed, thinking it would be a fun way to bond. They played for hours, the stakes getting higher and higher. And that's when Daniel played his final card, a deed to the property. Emily couldn't believe her eyes as she saw her own brother's signature on the document. He had tricked her into signing it away, all while pretending to have a good time. When Emily realized what had happened, she begged him to give it back, but he just laughed, taunting her with the fact that it was legally his now. He left her there, broken and betrayed, in her own home. Tears welled up in my eyes as Emily finished her story. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My own brother betraying our sister like that. It was unthinkable. "We need to call the police," I said, my voice trembling with anger. Emily nodded, wiping away her tears. "I already did. They're on their way." As we waited for the police to arrive, I couldn't help but feel a deep sense of betrayal myself. My own family torn apart by greed and deception. It was a chilling reminder that sometimes the scariest stories aren't about ghosts or monsters, but the darkness that can lurk within those we trust the most. It was a regular day at the gas station where I worked. I'd been the owner for years, and the place had seen better days. It was time for some renovations. We were digging up the old concrete floor to lay down new pipes when I saw it, a glint of something shiny buried in the dirt. I bent down to pick it up, and there it was, an ancient-looking artifact, covered in dirt and dust. It was like nothing I'd ever seen before, all engraved with strange symbols. It felt heavy in my hand, like it held some kind of power. I didn't think much of it at first, just a curious find under the gas station. But things started to get weird after that. Strange sounds at night, like whispers in the wind, and eerie shadows moving in the corners of my eye. It was as if the artifact had brought something with it. Customers started telling me about their own experiences. One guy swore he saw a ghostly figure at the gas pump. Another claimed his car engine started by itself. It was all too much to be just coincidence. I tried to get rid of the artifact, bury it again, throw it in the river, but it always found its way back to the gas station. It was like it wanted to stay, like it was tied to the place. Desperate, I reached out to some locals who were into the supernatural, a small group of unlikely heroes, if you can call them that. They examined the artifact and told me it was cursed, that it had a dark history. They said it was used in ancient rituals to summon powerful forces, and now those forces were trapped here, causing all the strange happenings. They told me the only way to contain the forces was to perform a ritual of our own. So, there we were, a bunch of regular folks gathered around the artifact in the gas station's back room. We chanted and burned sage, and it felt like the air itself was charged with electricity. I could see shadows swirling around us, and it was like the world was holding its breath. Finally, with one last chant, the artifact began to glow, and a rush of wind swept through the room. It felt like the gas station itself was exhaling a sigh of relief. The artifact turned to dust in my hand, and the supernatural occurrences stopped. The gas station was quiet again, just like it used to be.
If you want second part of this video, let me know in the comments section. And do like and subscribe my channel for more horror stuff.